Hello, my name is Alex Isles, and in today's episode we're going to look at what caused the Viking Age. Welcome back. So in today's video we're going to look at what caused the Viking Age, and this is a huge and brilliant topic because the Vikings had such a massive impact on Western Europe and on Eastern Europe as well. They in many ways helped to create some of the countries that we know so well in Europe today, such as places like England, Scotland as well, Ireland, Eastern Europe such as Ukraine and Russia, and they had a great impact on other European countries as well and gave us words that we recognize within our language and use on a daily basis within English, French, German, other languages as well. So if that's caught your attention, why not subscribe now, because we've got plenty more content like that on the channel and I think you'll enjoy it here. In the meantime, let's get right into what caused the Viking Age. Here in the British Isles, we normally date the Viking Age from 793 AD, which you can see right here, which is the raid on Lindisfarne, right the way through to 1066, when King Harald Hardrada of Norway is defeated at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, and then after that, obviously, Duke William of Normandy conquers England and becomes the King of England, then starting what we generally see as the Middle Ages, or the Middle Ages as we understand them. So when we're looking at that, we have to sort of think the Viking Age is a datable period of just over 200 years, and it's an amazing sort of period for European history because the Scandinavians set out and had a massive influence on most of Western Europe and also on Eastern Europe as well. They went all the way to North America and then all the way through to the Middle East. They were trading in all of that area, and there are so many countries that can actually date parts of their heritage, parts of their history to the Scandinavians and their influence on our world. So when we think about that, it's a really interesting one just to see how much of an influence was caused by that. Now, to start off with, it is a migration of sorts, and so people would set off and migrate, and it's not also the first migration to come out of Scandinavia. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Alex, you're probably going to refer to the Anglo-Saxons, and yes, the Anglo-Saxons set off in some parts, the Jutes and the Angles, from what is today modern Denmark and northern Germany. But way before that, from around about 113 to 101 BC, we have the Cimbrian War, where a group of Danes from what is today northern Denmark, or the Cimbrian tribe, actually went right the way through Gaul and into northern Italy and were defeated by the Romans. So the Cimbrians were Scandinavians who actually caused a massive impact on sort of Republican Roman interactions with the Gauls, Germans and the northern Italians. So again, we can see that when there was overpopulation within an area, and there were other pressures as well, which with the Cimbrians aren't as well documented, because obviously it's looking at it from a Roman point of view, where the Romans are saying, right, we are the ones who define the world around us, they're all barbarians. We don't know if there were religious pressures, if there were economic pressures, if there were cultural pressures on the Cimbrians that caused them to migrate. What we do know is it resulted in them pushing their way through Gaul and having a massive impact on Europe, or Western Europe, 2,100 years ago. Then following on from that, from history, in the migration period, just at the fall of the Roman Empire, obviously we see the Angles and the Saxons and the Jutes move over from northern Germany and Scandinavia into the British Isles, as we sort of see today. Now, there are other factors as well that we need to think about that would have caused the Viking Age and caused for this to happen. Now, one of the things that's often pointed out is that there was a male preference at this time in Scandinavia. Female children were unfortunately being killed or left on the side of hills or exposed to the weather so that they would not be a cost to the family. And there was a preference for males, and so because of that, this actually caused for an effect where there were not enough women in Scandinavia. When there weren't enough women, there was a much higher value on the fewer surviving daughters, because they would get higher status marriages and they would be in a better situation for their families, but there was still a larger preference for male children. And so because of this, this meant that the unmarried men wouldn't be able to find wives, they wouldn't be able to have families, and so that could cause for migration as well. On top of this as well, there was also the fact that the first son received everything. So when the first son inherited absolutely everything, his brothers, and if you can imagine a large family, let's say you've got 8 sons, sons 2 through 8 don't receive anything, and son 1 receives everything. So you've got a population which of young men who have no marriage options, who have no opportunity to find a wife, and now in a situation where alongside this as well, they're poverty stricken. They don't have opportunities of farming, or they don't have opportunities of land ownership or anything like that, which then on turn, if you own land, you could possibly employ people, you can get friends together, you can set up new towns. If you can't do that, you're in a bit more of a difficult situation, and that incentivizes a migration as well. Now, following on from this, there were elements of the Norse paganism and Norse religion that were fatalistic. And when I say this, I mean it in the sense of the fact that we know that there was obviously a heaven for farmers, there was a heaven for women and children and that sort of thing. But the incentivized heaven that we read about, Valhalla, could be attained through death and battle and through being a warrior. So because of that, you've got this young group of men again who have no land, and then a religious pressure that you can be in the hall of the gods if you become a hero through death and battle. And then on the other side of the coin as well is there's possibly the fact of the much more sort of positive aspect of this, that if you go and you conquer an area, or you manage to take wealth, or you take land of someone else, then you can become wealthy, you can establish yourself, you can become a mini king in a new land, a new place. And so because of that, you're suddenly wealthier, you're better off, you're more able to have a family, get married. Those are the incentivized benefits of it during your lifetime, your obvious life. But the afterlife benefit is that if you fail, well, you're going to go and live with Odin in Odin's hall in Valhalla. So it's a win-win, for these young men. If you've got nothing, if you win something, great, you can live like a king, and then you die and you can go up to, Valhalla or something like that as well, or even one of the other heavens if it's not death in battle. Or the other way is you suddenly die in battle and then you're there in Valhalla. So why not? That's a positive outlook for these young guys who have got no opportunities. Following on from that, we've also got religious pressure from other locations. And a good example of this would be Charlemagne, the Holy Roman Emperor, who was actually doing a campaign against the Germanic peoples in Saxony around about the same time. So from the year about 790 right the way to 796 against the Saxons in that area of the sort of the Rhineland and this sort of area of Germany right here. So when he was doing this campaign against the Germans, he was burning down a number of their religious sites. And as he was burning down their religious sites, he was doing forced conversion, and he actually forcibly baptized 4,000 Saxon men in the River Rhine, and then beheaded them, so that they would go directly to his heaven. Now, just to point out here, Charlemagne, I think, is one of those examples of someone who really did not get the Christian message and instead was using his religion as a weapon. And throughout history, we see that there were these individuals who utilized their religion as weapons and totally misunderstood what the actual tenets of that religion is. We see it in early Buddhism, we see it in Islam, we see it in Christianity, we see it in Norse paganism. There is a number of different elements where you see these incredibly violent individuals who willingly use religion for their own benefit. So one of the things I always like to clarify with Charlemagne is that he is not doing something that is advocated for within the Bible. So there's one for you there. But he's got a very weird understanding of it, where he logically has gone through it and gone, well, if they're baptized, then when they die, they go to heaven, so I'll cut off their heads. It's not great. Well done, Charlemagne. No points there. You're so wrong on that one, but that's another matter. But anyway, Charlemagne does this, and so the Scandinavians would have felt under pressure. And so a raid on a place like Lindisfarne is almost like a revenge attack. It's a statement of, right, bam, we're going to hit somewhere that's important to you. We're going to hit a Christian holy site. And then when they discover, obviously, the relics, the beautiful items there, they go home, they show that wealth off, then suddenly this incentivizes more raids, and then could be a Kickstarter alongside the other factors mentioned before to the actual Viking Age. And then all of this combined together is either you get a better life, or you win, or you die. So better life by winning, or you die. So you see again, there's that sort of incentivization of a violent migratory lifestyle for something better, which we can see over and over again, going back through obviously the Anglo-Saxons, then the Cimbrians, and then possibly even into the past where there's unrecorded history. There's probably other migrations we don't know about. Because one of the things I always like pointing out is that Julius Caesar, even though his letters and his writing is very much propaganda, said in the British Isles that the people in the southwest of the British Isles were very similar to the Spanish, the people in the southeast were similar to the Gauls and the Belgians, and then the people in the north were similar to the Germans. So again, there's that possibility that there's migrations that have not been recorded, that have happened throughout history, that are also an influence on the way that the genetic and cultural makeup of our societies are. So it could be that the Viking Age was just another domino effect of something that had been occurring for thousands of years before. So all of those factors together caused the Viking Age. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video on what caused the Viking Age, and you'll want to join us for the rest of the journey. So please do subscribe. Why don't you share the video with your friends as well? And if you'd like to support me further, I do have a Patreon and/or a Ko-fi account in the description below if you'd like to support me financially. But there's no pressure there whatsoever. Otherwise, I really hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and hope you'll join me again for another video soon. In the meantime though, stay safe and well.